Hey Harmonizers, welcome to this video with Felix doing a little update showing where some of his training is at. And so this was when I got back from the Horse World Expo, just kind of showing you guys some of his first little canters there. You can see definitely green as he's going along and then pulling his head down a little bit. And in the beginning, it's really just about going with him during the canter and just making sure that we can ride the different gaits that I want him to go and that he knows that he can move freely for them. So here I'm going to come around and give that canter another try. You can see we're just getting super fast trots going on. And so I'm just going to regroup. There's going to be no cookie, but there's no punishment or anything like that. So then we're going to try again and ask for that canter again. And you can see he's just really awkward and gangly and just kind of green, not knowing what to do. So I'm going to slow him down again and just kind of regroup. Again, no cookie. And that's one of the really nice things about using positive reinforcement is that there's no like you have to kick them or add more pressure or anything like that. You just don't give the horse a cookie and they don't think that they did the right thing. And then you can just regroup and try again. Whereas if you only use the reward as in the release, then you really have to kind of keep pushing the horse and potentially risking them exploding and having it not go well. So we just regroup, try again. So I'm working on getting his different transitions going really well. Here you can see he tends to pick up his right lead canter, and then he's very reliable getting the flying lead change to the left lead, which is pretty awesome that he has a really nice flying lead change there. And whenever we're learning and teaching, we just want to kind of accept the horse how they're moving and then just tweak little things along the way. So I just do his little canter the way that he does it. And then we're working on some other stuff too. So this is his first time dragging a bag or dragging anything. And you can see he's looking at it out of the corner of his eye. He's kind of got his eye on it and his ear on it. And he's not entirely sure about it. But what I love about Felix is he's got such a great attitude about that, and I'm just pausing here, letting him have a chance to think and realize that it's going to be okay. And he never does anything truly scary or bad. He never has any really big reactions. Now, part of that is that I'm pretty careful with how I'm training him, and if he feels like he's getting a little bit too stressed, then I stop and help him relax and reset before we continue on. And then part of it is just his nature that he tends to be a little bit more easygoing and doesn't necessarily think that the bag is going to eat him. Here it gets turned around, like he gets facing it, which can be a little bit more scary. So I drop the bag and then I had to turn him and get somebody to pick it back up again. So here's another little look at attempting that. So when you're first teaching drags, a little tip is that you want to keep it at the side of you and be careful about when the horse is ready for you to drag towards them with dragging it in front. And that's just because that is more intimidating for a horse. A horse doesn't have, or they have a blind spot at the front of them. And so that just makes it even more intimidating that they've got something that they know is dragging towards them, but they can't really see it all that well. And so here you can see I've got the bag dragging nicely kind of more behind us, and that's really easy. And then here he starts to do a little side pass and he starts to turn and go to look at it. So I just re-steer him there, make a little correction so he stays out to the side and ask him to stay halted. And I give the bag a little bit of a pull towards him while we're just standing still there, but not tossing it out in front of him just yet, just rubbing him on his bum, trying to get him okay with each step along the way before we advance to something like pulling it in front of him, which is just a much harder thing for the horses to be okay with. So we want to make it easy for him, start with the easy stuff. And whenever he's getting a little bit confused, we just want to slow down and help him figure out the answer that he's supposed to give. So here we're going to bring the bag back to the standard. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a little bit tricky. It's always hard getting a horse to side pass into an object. It's like, well, let's try pulling the bag towards him and picking it up. You can see Miko's in the background there, our little kitty cat. And he actually does really well with me picking up the bag. And I always try to just not let the horse really look at or sniff the object. I want him to be okay with everything, but I don't want him to spook and make himself get upset because he looks at something and then decides that it's scary. So I just try to say, like, you don't need to look at it. It's okay. I'm going to reward you for doing the best you can. He's going to get a little cookie, and trying not to encourage him to feel like he's always got to inspect whatever obstacle it is we're doing first, because that's going to be a little bit confusing and irritating later on if he thinks that he's got to touch and inspect everything first. So here, doing our little canter to the right, you can see that goes really nicely there. Nice little right canter, which he gets his right lead really, really easily. And going around, he's a little bit imbalanced, and so it looks a little bit on the faster side, but that's just because he's green or under saddle and hasn't done a lot under saddle yet. So that's going to get better as time goes on. And of course, his brakes are super awesome, so that always makes it pretty nice to work with. Here's a little look going over some little jumps now, starting to introduce him to the idea of picking up his feet, going over some little cross rails, which is a little challenging to do. And he's gaining his fitness and getting into shape. And so this is all new stuff. He's got to figure out how to pick up his legs and how to carry a rider over a jump. So we're just doing things that are super little itty bitty. And my job is to try to keep him straight and make sure I give him his head as he goes over. So here he was pretty sure that we were going to go around the jump. And he's thinking, like, really? Do I really have to go over this jump? And you can see him kind of looking at it. And I don't have a crop. I don't have spurs. I'm just saying, let me keep you straight and just kind of stay in an encouraging body language. So here's a little look at a different jump here. And he actually does a cute little jump over, which is super adorable and awesome that he gets that figured out. And we'll do a couple more here in a second as he's coming around, just trying to keep his pace pretty consistent. And my job is really just to stay out of his way and let him learn and make sure that I'm not flopping on his back or pulling on his mouth as we go over the little jump. So here, coming around now to do the next go round, and he's like, oh, maybe I'll just stop. And so you can see here, I back him up here just to give him a little bit of a reset. And there's no spurs, no crop, and I just ask him to go on again. And we'll redo that a couple more times until he gets it confidently. We want to make sure that they're confident in going over before we move on. So here's the last time that I took him around. So he's been learning lots of different things. Let me know what your favorite part was. Thanks for watching, guys.